What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It is your main man, Juggernaut of multi-platinum production team Arkatech Beatz. And today, we are going to jump into what I would call easy sample-based music production tutorial. And, we were in the music review live stream a little earlier tonight. And there were folks that were submitting music to us that, was like, it wasn't sample based. But before I get into it, I'm sorry if it's your first time here. Welcome to the channel. Like I said, I'm Juggernaut of multi-platinum production team Arkatech Beatz. We're responsible for producing for your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. With production credits that go on into Big Pun, Nas, Prodigy of Mobb Deep, Raekwon the Chef, Jadakiss, The Game, Lloyd Banks, Max B, French Montana, Coke Wave 3.5 out now with production featured by us, Me Too. So we're here, you know what I mean? So what we're doing is we're doing music production tutorials. Make sure you jump into our community where we're really teaching folks about the real music business. You know what I'm saying? We'll learn what the music business, how the music business really works at our school community, school.com/Future Producer Society. And today I wanted to get into just some easy sample-based production. A very, very, very easy sample-based production. I just kind of want to show some folks some nuts and bolts of some things that they can really get to kind of quickly without kind of overthinking it. And what I'm seeing happening, and I'm seeing a lot happening in terms of our music production tutorials, music production reviews, music review sessions. I'm over speaking, double speaking right now. I'm seeing guys submit music that, that could probably be a whole lot better. And what I think what's happening is that a lot of folks are just married to the idea that sampling is just, for some strange reason, like bad. Like people feel like sampling is bad and you can't sample and it's the worst thing to do and so forth and so on. And like so many people's careers, are based off of sampled music, man. Like some of the most prominent producers in the game, man. Whether it's Dr. Dre, DJ Premier, like you name it, these folks' careers are going to have samples, laced into their music somehow. Pharrell, like you name it, somewhere, somehow they have samples laced into their careers. So what I want to try to get folks to understand is that, one, sampling is not all bad. That's the first thing. It's not all bad if you choose the right sources, right? So let me go there. The first thing that I would say is always, if you're going to sample as a sample-based producer, let's always work with royalty-free sites, right? So, the link in our bio would be linked to splice.com. Those are royalty-free samples, hundreds of thousands of samples where you can use those royalty-free, no friction. You don't have to worry about clearing anything. There are other options that some guys use. Some guys use Cymatics. Some other guys use TrackLib. You know what I mean? There's just so many different options that you can use that you're not going to be tied into having to clear anything. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to jump into, like I said, a very easy-based music production tutorial. Nothing too crazy. If you could look at my MPC currently has a tempo of 130 BPMs. Right? It's a 2-bar loop, and then I have 2 samples in here, right? Well, I have more samples as far as my kit is concerned, but I have 2 samples. Both of them are at 130 BPMs. This is the first one. All right, so that's our main sample. And then on the next pad, I have a drum loop that is the same BPMs. Now, don't mind the effects because I have effects on this entire channel, right? So, of course, I'm going to wind up copying this track and it's going to have, and I'll take off the effects and I'll use this as the drum track. All right, we're going to take that off, but we're going to use this as the drum track. We just copied it over, right? So this is our drum sample. And I just want folks to understand, like, man, like a lot of people are running around making this thing like absolutely way more difficult than it needs to be. You understand? Like it doesn't need to be as difficult as we're making it, right? So there goes our drum loop. It's really a 4-bar loop. All right, so we're going to turn the sample. We're going to turn this into a 4-bar loop, a 4-bar sample loop, right? Now, one of the main things we're going to do is this, right? We want to go into our sample program edit mode. We want to set our BPMs. We want to lock that in at 130. We want to make sure that BPM sync is on and our warp is on. We can use the algorithm as a default. So this gives us the ability to, if we want to tune down from 130 BPMs to a lower BPMs, we can do that, and it'll just help the sample and the beat to slow down, right? Now, when we go back to our sample track, this is our main sample track. I've added some effects to it, of course. We want to do the same thing. 130 BPMs. We want to BPM sync it. We want to warp it. If you look at our sample, right, our sample has it in there. You can go and find the sample right now. If you go look at it you can go find this sample in Splice. You can find it, no big deal. It's 130 BPMs, no issue here, right? It's telling you what the BPMs are. It's telling you what the key is, right? Now it always slightly varies from what it labels as and what is actually in the MPC. The MPC may do something a little different. Now, before people jump on my back and tell me again, like, yo, what are you doing? This is not really production, blah, 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 blah. Look. Look, man, some of your best records are going to just be, oh, those are just loops? Yep. You know what I'm saying? They're just obscure. You know what I'm saying? So obscure loops make you feel like something happened that didn't really occur. You know what I'm saying? Loop is a loop is a loop is a loop, bro. Just kind of get it out your brain that folks are trying to brainwash you into thinking that there's no integrity in having a good ear and finding something that's rare in terms of samples. There's millions of samples. Who's to say that I'm going to put the way that I put together my drum sample and the way that I put together my other samples together is going to make something that somebody doesn't have, right? I might pitch it. I might slow it down. I might chop it. It just depends. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you to create something out of these two samples. But the reason why I'm showing it this way is because I want folks to understand how easy it is. I don't want people to keep doing tracks and sending tracks over and stuff like that for some strange reason they're not going together, or the beats don't mix, or the tones don't go. Like, you have everything here to tell you what to do to keep everything in unison. So even if you're just starting out and you're not training your ear, and if you're training your ear, these tools are here to help you, right? So let's be clear on that. And I'm just paying attention to my time because I have a hard stop at 11 o'clock, right? So here we go. So let's get into this thing here. We got the sample, right? Where we at? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slow it down by 1. Re-trigger. Right? This is very simple. We're gonna lay that down really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I did is I re-triggered it on the 3-1, right? So let's go. What we did very simple sample bass situation. Now we take our drums. If you notice with our drums, same thing. 130 BPMs, full. It's already there for you. All you got to do is do a search for drums and put in your BPMs. Very simple to do in terms of splice, just to kind of get you where you got to go, right? And I hope folks are paying attention to this. It's very, very simple, right? Let's lay this down. Wrong track. My bad. Let's go. Very simple, right? Now, if you wanted to get creative, you can go inside of here. Instead of me starting it on the boom, boom, bap, right? We can start it on the 1, right? Boom, bap, right? Like this. So we can actually change the way it starts if we want to. But you don't need to do that. We could just leave it where it is. Now, why do I tell people to do now? Basically, some folks can leave the beat just like this, right? And say, "Hey, I just did the beat, whatever. I did the beat, okay." For what we're trying to illustrate here is we're trying to illustrate that you have a blueprint now. You got your sample, you got your beat doing what it got to do, right? Now your drum sample. Now it's up to us to go into this thing now, right? Go into this thing and find other sounds, find other samples. Right. Find the other things that's going to make this. If you wanted to overlay another snare on top of it, you can do that. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a 16 level. I'll bring the velocity down and I'll add another snare on top of it, right? We can move that along if we want to. We just highlight it and move it, and that's it. We can do whatever we want to do with it. It's actually right there. Kaz, what up? So listen, man. So we're adding snare in there, right? So I just added a snare in there. Now I can go now to my 808s, right, or go to my bass sounds, right, right. Um, Again, like all we're doing is we're doing this very simple, very easy. If I go to my main sample again, right, which is here, right, it's telling us that the key is G, G minor, right? We want to go to our pad performance. We're going to go here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to add this. We're going to turn that into G minor, right? Natural minor, so that our bass sounds can go along with our sample, right? And then we're going to go back to our bass track or our 808 track. Like we can do whatever we want to do. But you notice what I did though, right? You notice that I started with a sample, and you notice that I started with a sample and a drum loop, right? I didn't sit here all day trying to program the sample. I didn't sit here all day trying to program the drums. You could do that. You could do that if you can do that. But what I'm saying for folks who are just starting out, and for you to understand the nuance of what's happening, right? Because the main thing for us is to pay attention to what is happening with our drums. So, for example, if you wanted to learn how to program your drum like the drum sample, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to program your drum on top of the drum sample. And if you're able to get it close enough to it, then you can actually mute the drum sample and go with your own drums if you're able to program it the way that you hear it here. Now, the main thing about this is so that you can kind of understand where things fall on the grid. That's the whole purpose of using the drum tracks. That's the whole purpose of using samples. You're using samples so that you can understand where the instruments are supposed to lie. You use samples so you can understand velocity, so you can understand volume, so you can understand it, so you can understand tune. So that's why we use samples. We're not supposed to just use the samples and then don't learn from what the samples are. Remember, samples are basically mastered music, right? So it's already mixed, it's already mastered. So we're supposed to be listening to those things so that we can understand the dynamics, so that we can understand when we're using things that are not samples, where do they belong in the mix? Where do these things belong? And people are not using those things to educate themselves on where music is supposed to lie. That's the whole purpose of using samples. This is how I say that it actually speeds you up for people who are not really music. If you're not like a music savant, or you're not able to come in here and just play the piano and you hear sounds and you see color when you hear sounds. If you're not one of those type motherfuckers, and I hate to say it that way, but it's just the real shit. If you're not one of those kind of guys, I'm trying to give you a cheat code to save your ass 10 years. We're trying to save you 10 years of trying to figure this shit out. When you can easily take these things, you can find some of the most magical samples that have the most magical instruments. If you want to find something with a piano, go find something with a piano. You want to find something with an organ, find something with an organ. Listen to those things. Listen to where they land. Listen to how those things blend together with the other sounds, right? Now, of course, you can always still go and experiment with your sounds on top of them. But remember what I said. Your roadmap is here, right? Because you have, if you have a sample in your thing, it provides us with all of the information to make sure that the instruments that we add onto it are in key, right? I already told you what you do here. Your pad performance mode, you put it in G, and you follow the natural minor. Now, if I change this sound to any other sound, for example, if I go to another track, and I said, let me just add another track. Let me add a new sound. Let me do a new plugin. Right? This is a tube synth. What did you notice? Oh, shit, it's all in tune, man. It's already in tune. So when I'm hearing stuff that's out of tune, stuff that sounds all crazy, it's because what we decided to do is we decided to go take it upon ourselves to go sample an obscure sound, try to put it into the 16 level, not realizing that it's not key mapped out accurately. And then when you're trying to play it along with your stuff, you're not realizing that it's out of tune. It's because you're not following what's in the screen, what's in the box. The box makes it so easy for you to really understand that workflow so that you're not over here struggling, trying to figure out why does it sound this way? Why does it sound like that? Because we're going against the grain, and we're trying to do something that we don't really need to do. We can overwrite kicks on top of it. We can make it into our own. Don't feel ashamed by taking samples. Don't feel any way by taking samples and making them. And by blending samples, right? So let's even take it a step further, right? Let's just say we don't want to use the sample anymore. It's muted. Right? Before I mute it, let me copy the track. All right. So let me go back. I'm going to mute this track. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to my empty pad. Let's browse, right? So let's go back to our splice and let's search by BPMs. All right. What's the BPM we said? We said it was 130. Let's go back to 130 and let's see what we got, because I don't know what's in here. You know what I'm saying? This is stuff that we just sample over the years. You know what I'm saying? Me and Mike just be going back and forth. You know what I mean? see what I'm doing? You see how easy that is? You see how easy that was by you just going through your samples. You can basically pick and choose whatever you want to pick and choose, bro. And then what you do is once you pick it and you pull it out, pause. You can do one of two things. You could pitch it up, you could pitch it down, or you could take it upon yourself at that point to chop it. But at least you know fundamentally that it goes together. You know fundamentally that that's going to be a decent beat at its core, right? So like you understand that once you kind of have that baseline of it being decent, right? The only thing that takes you from that level now to an upper level now is the way that you understand how to blend sounds. Is the way that you understand how to make sounds go together, right? And the way that you start to understand how to program your sounds in the music bed, right? So, but now this is where we're supposed to practice with. Now what we're doing now, once we kind of have our sounds and what we want to do, now we have to just kind of figure out, how do we want to embellish on it? How do we want to make it better, right? So let's go back to that again. Let's go back to our BPMs. We're going to go back into 130. All right, this is all spliced, folks. If you don't got a splice account, I want that. Let's try that. Right. Remember what I said now, right? We're going to go into our BPMs. We want it to match the tempo of the actual sample, right? Because we can see it says 130 here. I'm going to, I'm going to process this. I'm going to normalize it to make the wave slider slightly bigger, right? Now I might pitch this up by 2. And what's this going to do? This is going to change the key of this too as well. Let's bring it down in the mix. Now we said this is D minor, right? We're going to go back into pad performance mode. We're going to set it to D minor. All right? So when we go to our sounds to play on top of it, it goes. You can browse the splice samples right on the MPC. So when I say go into the key group, like that's when you take a sample. Say for example, you find a sample, a piano sample that you like, right, bro? You find a sample, you're gonna sample the root key, which is the C3. You sample that root key C3. And then what you would do is you would take that sample and you would say, for example, let's do the illustration of this, like right? That's the 808. Right? So we have the 808, and then what you could do with that. What's going on? Why my drawing looking like that? All right, so then you can go over here and you can key group it, right? So when you say key group it, like you can literally take the note and you can make the note go across the keyboard and map it out like a regular key sound. You know what I'm saying? I could take that sound. So what it does is it starts to make it makes so it maps it out, so it makes it into a key group. Now the issue with this is that the system is going to tune it for you. It's going to tune the sound for you. But everybody knows that, you know, you can really only depend on it for maybe one octave. So if you're going from C3 to the next C, C4, those notes tend to be okay, but they're not always tuned. As the further you go up in octave, the more that it starts to fall out of tune. You know what I'm saying? So this sometimes becomes an issue when you're trying to sample an instrument and then you're trying to play it into higher octaves and stuff like that. It may or may not go with your instruments that you may have sampled. So that's why I'm always I'm always telling folks, you know, if you're going to sample something, pay attention to where the original sample is, right? Like pay attention to where that sample is in terms of its key. And when you're adding on sounds, you want to add on the sounds that are in the MPC, because those are already master tuned into where you're going to be. If you use external instruments, then you're going to have to find a way sometimes to tune those to your sample if your sample is in an odd space. Now, mind you, this isn't like before. Before we used to have stuff that when we sampled it, it did something funky. You know what I mean? Like you had to try to tune it to get it to loop properly. And that sometimes gave us a loop that was a tune that wasn't quite on key, and then we had to make everything go with it, but it still didn't technically put us on the musical key. So because I'm pressed for, oh no, I still got time. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong time. So that's really what I was talking about on that. Yeah, man, you're supposed to synchronize your splice. It's integrated into your MPC. So if you got a new MPC, bro, it's all integrated in. Just log in, and sync all your sounds, and everything will be right there. You know, it doesn't have to be. It could be a one shot that you're using. You know what I'm saying? If you're using a one shot for key groups, you will use one shots for key groups if you want to do that, as far as like a one shot guitar or a one shot bass or a one shot 808. You can use that to turn into key groups if you want to. Again, I would more so lean, unless you find a sound that you have to live or die with. But I would more so lean toward getting, good plugins, good instrument plugins that you can depend on, because that will make your workflow easier. So folks, that's the easy beat making tutorial for tonight. Very, very easy beat making. Make sure that you are checking us out and joining our community at the school.com/Future Producer Society. You know what I'm saying? This is really a very, very, very simple process, man. You know what I mean? Like very, very simple. So like again, look how quickly we made this track. Who would know if I played it out or not? Huh? Who would know? Who would know? Just tell me. Who would know? Not a soul. Unless you tell them. Or they got the same sample you used. But also, I want you to pay attention to not just where the listen to where the kick drum is, right? Listen to where the hi-hat is. Listen to where the snare is relative into the mix. These are the things that we're supposed to be paying attention to. When we're using loops and we're using samples, we're supposed to be paying attention to that. When we're using AI, we're supposed to be paying attention to that. Folks are not doing that. Pay attention to the outputs. Pay attention to where the sounds are placed. Pay attention to the panning. Pay attention to the effects. Pay attention to every fucking nuance that you hear in this music, so that you can understand where you place your shit. If you don't if you're not listening, you can't learn. I cannot stress that enough. If you're not listening, if you don't become a student of listening, my wife will sometimes say to me, "Yo, why are you playing it on repeat?" I'm playing it on repeat because I'm trying to understand where the fucking music is placed. I don't tell her that, but I'm just saying. I'm trying to find out where is everything sonically, right? You have to realize that you are literally competing for placements on these people's albums. If you're a producer looking to get a placement, you're competing against other producers. So you have to arm yourself with as much information, as much data, and as much music that you can learn, so that you can put yourself in a position to understand where things are faster, quicker. If you don't understand that, that's what's going to create the issue for you. So I hope that this helps. I hope that this helps, folks. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this is going to jump into our portal. I'm going to make sure that this is actually a part of the portal. It'll be on YouTube for a few days, and then, like I said, it'll get pulled off, and then it'll wind up just being inside the portal as part of our library. And that's what we're going to continue to do. Would you rather get an instrumental or a song? I mean, I like instrumentals. I like where, you know what I'm saying? When I was more so engineering, I would listen to stuff that had lyrics because I wanted to know where things were placed, you know? So, I would listen to those songs like that. But, just you have to listen to music overall, and you have to study it. You have to be a student of it. If you're not going to do that, you're in the wrong business, man. You know what I mean? So, shout out to y'all. Like I said, I got a hard stop. And I'll catch y'all on the next one.